win. So now let's move on and kind of look at what's coming up for this week. Now, last week was their chance to win against Cal because this week they're playing the two Los Angeles teams in USC tomorrow night, Thursday at 5:30 p.m., and then UCLA Saturday at 2. And the Huskies really don't have much hope of winning either of these games. And quite frankly, I wouldn't be shocked if they lost both of these by 20 plus points, as both these USC and UCLA teams are really good. USC is 9-2 overall, 3-1 in conference, while UCLA is at the top of the Pac-12. They're 9-2 overall as well, but 5-0 record in conference play. So these two teams are really not two teams that UW is capable of beating unless UCLA or USC just come out and is ice cold and can't hit any shots, and UW comes out and it's red hot. But what I do think UW can use these games to do is to kind of get better and try to figure things out. And really the main thing is to figure out the rotation. That's been an issue I've had with what's been going on in these last few games. The majority of the starting fives that Hopkins has rolled out for the Huskies has been the same, with Nate Roberts, Hamir Wright, Jamal Bay, Eric Stevenson, and Quade Green usually leading the team. The thing that has changed almost game by game basis is how many minutes these rotational guys get. I'm talking Riley Sorn, Jerron Brooks, Nate Pryor, Marcus Ahonis, Cole Badgema, and Raekwon Battle. All these guys have had games where they've played 15 plus minutes, some of them 20 plus minutes. And then in other games, sometimes even the next game, they'll play less than 5 minutes. And in some games, some of these guys won't even touch the court for whatever reason. And I think it's just Hopkins showing that he doesn't really have any idea what his rotation is, what his second best lineup to roll out is. And it's caused issues. I mean, these players aren't in sync. You can tell it on the court. And it's hard to get in sync when one game you'll be playing 20 minutes, then the next game you might not even get in. Or you get in and you just play 2-3 minutes. I think Raekwon Battle is kind of a prime example of this, a great example of this. He came into the year, he was looked at as maybe the sixth man for this Husky team, someone who can provide scoring off the bench. And to start the year, first game, he played 29 minutes. Next game, 23, then 21 minutes. So even there, each of the games, he decreased in minutes. And in those games, he didn't play well. So the decrease in minutes, I suppose, is warranted. He shot 5 for 23 combined in those 3 games. Now, the Huskies' next game, then, he just played 10 minutes. He was 1 for 5. Now, however, so there's no improvement on the offense or on the performance by him. But then the next 2 games, he played 20 plus minutes in each of them again. And the game following those 2 games was against Colorado. And Hopkins decided to switch things up, try to change up the starting lineup. And he inserts Battle. So Battle's starting, right? He's going to get 25 plus minutes. No, Raekwon Battle starts on the court, yet he only finishes with 14 minutes. Struggling again. Now that brings us to this last week against Stanford and Cal, which is kind of when Battle hit, I guess you could say, rock bottom. Against Stanford, he only played 6 minutes. And then against Cal, he didn't touch the court. He didn't play a single minute. I mean, I could pick any one of these players and look at their minutes fluctuating coming off the bench from game to game. Sahonis is a prime example. He's had games where he's played 20 plus minutes. He's had games where he hasn't played a single minute. Coming into the season, a coach is supposed to kind of have his rotation figured out, or at least figure it out by like the first couple games. Here we are in game 11 or so, and Hopkins still clearly does not have that rotation he likes figured out. If Hopkins wants this team to play the best ball possible, he can't be switching rotations on a game by game basis. He has to have consistency. I mean, hopefully that's something he can find against USC and UCLA. He can nail home his player rotation. Now, something else that I'd like to see the Huskies do that, like I mentioned, the consistent rotations. Now, I'd also like them to kind of just play consistent basketball. All throughout the season, the Huskies have just been completely inconsistent. They've been inconsistent on the offensive side of the ball, going scoreless for 5 plus minutes. and then they'll get a little burst, and then they'll go scoreless again. And then they've also just been inconsistent on defense, holding teams to stops, and then they just open up the floodgates and the offense for the other team catches fire. Now, the Huskies finally had that consistency on offense against Cal, and their defense was kind of inconsistent and, quite frankly, just bad, really almost throughout that whole game. So, the Huskies will need to work on these inconsistencies if they want a shot at winning any more games this whole year, or really if they want a shot at just not being blown out and being competitive in most of these remaining games. So, looking at these two games against USC this week and UCLA, I'll give a score prediction. I think both of these score predictions are kind of optimistic, I'm actually going to say. So against USC, I think the Huskies will lose 68-85, so a 17-point loss. And against UCLA, UCLA's had some close games recently, winning by single digits recently. So I'll just keep the trend going, or UCLA winning by single digits. I'll keep that trend going with the Huskies losing 72-80. Now, like I said before, though, I could easily see both these games being the Huskies being blown out of the gym, losing by 20 plus points. But like I said, those two score predictions are being optimistic. Now, the